And the Mexican Mafia, the gang at the top. Members of other LA gangs dream about being members someday. Their lifeblood is murder and drugs. Tonight in his special report, Joe Rico takes us inside. We'll look at the man at the top, the Godfather. Joe?
Well, Colleen, since it was formed behind California prison walls in the late 1950s, the Mexican Mafia, or La M, has about 800 members and associates today, both in and out of prison. It has been a violent, bloody history, and tonight we take a look at the man they call the Godfather, the man calling the shots, 63-year-old Joe Morgan, currently serving a life sentence for murder.
Joe Morgan is an enigma. Half of him is one of the coolest, coldest son of a bitches you'll ever know. The other half of him is one of the funniest, compassionate, well-liked people.
Joe Morgan is the most influential member of the Mexican Mafia today, the Godfather. Yet the man whom authorities believe has been involved in more than 100 murders is not Mexican. He's white, a Slavic who grew up in San Pedro and East LA and absorbed the culture, the language, and the violent underbelly of their mean streets, the gangs.
As far as Mexican Mafia members are concerned, Joe's Mexican because his heart isn't Mexican. So we don't look at him by the color of his skin. Well, he was born and raised in the barrios, in the neighborhoods. So by hanging around with the guys from the neighborhood, he thought like them, he spoke like them, he speaks extremely fluent Spanish. And as far as he's concerned, he's Chicano. And if you told him otherwise to his face, especially if you told it to him in a negative way, he'd kill you.
Morgan did killed early in life. 1946. As a 16-year-old, he bludgeoned the husband of his 32-year-old lover, Elvira Duran Rojo, and dumped the body in a rural canyon. It was a sensational case that gave the local press its fill of tabloid headlines. It also introduced Joe Morgan to a place he'd call home for most of his adult life, state prison, where he was sent at the age of 16. And it was here that Morgan helped mold a newer, deadlier wave of Mexican Mafia soldier, a group now requiring the death oath and a pledge of silence. In little time, La M had become the most feared of all prison gangs. It was an army that pushed its members to be the worst that they could be. But Morgan was also shrewd and had big plans. Drugs. He had access to the largest heroin and cocaine supplier in Mexico. He also had ties with the Cosa Nostra. But in the 1970s, he out-finessed the Italian mob and gained control of the LA heroin market. Former M member Ramon Mundo Mendoza was Morgan's right-hand man who helped engineer the Mexican Mafia's rise beyond the prison walls, a plan that was chronicled in the 1992 film American Me, starring Edward James Olmos.
The choices we made to survive got Mundo, JD, and me 10 to 25.
I was played by the role of Pepe Serna. The character was Mundo, which was my nickname when I was a Mexican Mafia member. Okay. William Forsythe played the role of Joe Morgan, who in the movie was JD. And Cheyenne Cadena was played by Edward James Olmos, which in the movie was a character called Santana.
But sources say the film offended many members of the Mexican Mafia, especially Joe Morgan. It was believed that even behind the maximum security walls of Pelican Bay Prison near the Oregon border, Morgan gave the go-ahead to have 3 technical advisors to the film killed. Whatever plans the Mexican Mafia has for the future, it will be without the Godfather. Channel 4 News has learned that Joe Morgan is terminally ill. He is currently here at Corcoran Prison, south of Fresno, undergoing tests for a growth in his liver. Doctors give him 12 weeks to live. Ever since he began serving his life sentence for murder, Joe Morgan has maintained his silence, even refusing to acknowledge whether or not the Mexican Mafia even exists. Said one former member of the Mexican Mafia inner circle, Joe Morgan isn't the type for dramatic deathbed confessions or conversions. In his own warped sense of value, he's been a good soldier till the end.
He's a hope-to-die soldier, and he chose to continue that road, and it looks like he's taken it to his grave.
Morgan is now seeking mercy, asking for a compassionate release to be with his family. Prison officials say, considering his clout, even in ill health, that release appears very unlikely. Paul, Colleen.
All right, Joe Rico, thank you very much.